Hello and welcome again to PKF Hotel Experts in Conversation with. And today we've got none other than Michael Struck, the Chief Executive Officer, Managing Director and Founder at Ruby Hotels. Hello Michael, where do we find you?
I'm in Munich at home, in the home office.
Munich at home, locked in?
Exactly, as everybody else.
Locked in.
I hope my 2-year-old son won't burst in laughing in here, but
no
I think
problem.
That's the reality for all of us currently.
No problem. That has been done before, and we're happy to do that one again. So, how's the home office setup working for you? Is it a major adjustment, or are you quite comfortable with it?
Actually, not much of a change because I mean, probably likewise with you. Since we always work a lot traveling, and therefore are remote, I think quite accustomed to remote working. It's not so much of a change, but I think for our teams, it's a big change. So. I'm very happy and fortunate that everybody's adapted well to the situation. Things are running well. Fortunately, we've implemented home office workspaces prior to that already. So technically speaking, everything was prepared. I think it's just a matter of how things go. And now everybody's making use of the new work tools, everything from Yammer across to MS Teams. That's probably one of the positive sides.
And how do you keep the guys together? How do you keep them active? How do you keep them motivated? Because it's a new setup. It's a new era. It's an era which hopefully won't last that long. But it's a new reality that people need to. So you've got fears. You've got practical issues. How do you manage to keep them going? How do you manage to keep them motivated?
I'd say it's three things. One is obviously that you want to keep a high level of transparency, keeping people informed. So it starts with me, but I obviously incentivize all my team and my direct reports to keep sharing the information that I share with them. I have status calls I use, which was a regular feature already pre-crisis with us. Status calls with all with my entire team, which used to be monthly. And now currently we've increased that to bi-weekly. And then there are obviously routines. That I think that's the second part that we've now just transferred to the virtual realm. So where we'd have our weekly board meetings, where we'd have draw fix, etc. Those have now been transferred to the virtual realm. We try to keep that as disciplined as possible so that there's a sense of new normal, as I would call it. And the third thing, I think, is that there has to be room for the chatter that you would usually have in the hallways. And now we take the time and we really plan for that to actually have an after-work routine after certain meetings. On Friday evening, there's an after work where everybody can just hook in so that you don't feel alone in your home office. You're really still part of the network and part of the Ruby family.
Yeah, I suppose that loneliness aspect and that being part of the family is an important one. We also do weekly weekly pub quiz. And we started last week. Then we're doing a daily body and mind workshop where Stefan Chattic, you know him, our head of operator search. He is the app man and whatever, and chases people around. I have participated in a few of them, not all of them, but this morning I was quite exhausted. But that is, I think that's a really important one to keep that, as you say, the water fountain chatter or coffee machine chatter to keep that going somehow, because because we're facing in some instances, I mean, here in South Africa we're looking at a 3-week lockdown. That can become quite lonely. All your hotels currently are all shut, correct?
Exactly. We initially tried to keep as many open for as long as possible. So we only shut those where we had several in one location. So for instance, Vienna, Düsseldorf, and concentrated the team, concentrated the bookings in those that remained open. But with the current restrictions, enforced travel restrictions, restrictions of movement and of congregation, obviously, bookings went down to the level where last week we then took the decision to close the remainder of the hotels. Currently, all of the hotels are shut. Yes.
Right. Yeah, it's a sad picture. News. Everybody is being bombarded with news, and I found quite interesting to find out how people filter those news. I'm a bit of a junkie with the phone and constantly looking and what have you, but I'm also finding myself to withdrawing a little bit. How do you filter news? How do you make sure you get something which is relevant to you, something which you find credible?
Good question. I actually stick to the same sources that I had pre-crisis, because those are trusted sources and I know where they come from, where there's a bias or not. So I still consume the same daily newsletters, whether it's industry newsletters, hospitality or real estate related, or whether it's the general news. So not much change there. What has changed, obviously, is that with the speed of developments, particularly with the speed of authorities' regulations, we have now set up a circle of people in the team that keep an eye on the various jurisdictions. Currently, we are operating in 3 countries, so obviously we need to be aware of what's happening there. So there's people who are tasked with keeping a daily alert, basically an hourly alert on any press conferences that take place, so that we're all abreast of that. So that, I think, is on top of the general news routines, where we really need to know on an hourly basis what's happening.
Yeah, no, I think that is absolutely key and great advice to whoever is watching, because they are, as you said, there's so many things that are developing, funds that are being made available, to help people and whatever but they're also limited. So if you're not there on time to apply for those, you step right back at the end of the line. Looking beyond, because I think that's what we all need to keep saying, to focus on. What will change at Ruby Hotels? I mean, you're already doing things a bit differently to other places. I had the pleasure of staying at your hotels, a couple of them in Vienna when I visited the office. Is there anything else that you're going to, where you say, you know what, life will not be the same. There will be changes happening. Focus on Ruby, but also beyond. Will there be same old, or is there going to be a big difference?
I believe that the change will be rather something that will happen to us as people rather than the company. The philosophy and the concept of the company is one that fortunately prepares us well for what is coming. So if there should be an economic crisis to follow the medical crisis, I can see Ruby from the start in order to be prepared for that by having a very low fixed cost level, lower than that of most players. So we have big flex when it comes to prices. We are a price value play where we offer our product at a very affordable price, so that we believe that we are the entry price point at that is one that is going to be portable to the majority of travelers. So we believe that, in fact, we could be one of the people that benefit from a crisis like this. I think the change is one that is to how we do business, the way we feel about it. And I have to say, I consider myself very fortunate that the team has stood together and actually come together closer through this crisis. There's a sense of not just of purpose, but I think there's a sense of accomplishment that we've gained through this crisis. It's an effect that for a young company, I think, is even more important, where many of my team have never gone through a crisis like this. I have a team of very experienced leaders, but I also have some that are for whom this leadership role is one of the first ones in their life. And I think that is interesting. I think the psychologists have a term for that. It's called the coping phenomenon. People that learn that they can cope with a crisis like this. So besides this getting the feeling of standing together now and fighting together, it's the feeling of coping and therefore of having accomplished something indeed. Because, I mean, yes, that's what we do as managers. If everything went smoothly, nobody would need us. So I believe it's a positive phenomenon. And the sense of urgency has been one that's been with Ruby ever since we created Ruby as a small company and as a growing company. I wouldn't call it crisis, but you're always in a process of movement where there's no way going back. You always have to move forward and you have to act. And it's not about watching, it's about creating, it's about shaping your own future. So I think there's no difference to that, only that the cycles have accelerated. That is true, and that the feeling of urgency has intensified.
Right. I wish we could talk much, much longer, Michael, but unfortunately time is of the essence, and we don't want to overload people who are already, as I said before, bombarded with other things. But I hope that this little chat made a bit of a difference to those people who are watching it. I thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your candor and also the fact that you're saying, you know what, it's about transparency, it's about people, it's about looking forward in a positive manner to see that we come out of this. So, Michael Schuck, thank you so much for your time, and we'll hope to chat to you soon. And all the best, and let's come out of this as fast as we possibly can. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.